I've just built this automation here, which will turn a voice note like this one into a blog, a LinkedIn post, a Facebook post, and will also generate an AI generated image. And I'm going to show you how you can build this exact automation step by step. So the very first step of this automation is to have a Slack channel or another tool that enables you to upload voice notes to. As long as Make.com can go and retrieve these voice notes, that tool should work. I'm just using Slack as an example here, and I think it's a really good place to start. It's super easy to connect to Make.com. So let's dive into the voice note I put into my Slack channel. Essentially, I'm asking it to generate content around Gemini 1.5 and how it has a multimodal feature and that it can actually watch an entire video, kind of like how a human with its own eyes would go and watch the video. It'll extract all the information from the video and then tell you exactly what's going on. So I want it to generate content around the topic of multimodality and how Gemini 1.5 can now process videos and watch them just like a human and give us information about the video it's just watched. That's the main goal of this voice note here. So this will be obviously linked to all the content that I have generated here. So within the actual automation itself, we have this first module here, which is a Slack module, Watch Private Channel Messages. So what this Watch Private Channel Messages does is anytime a new voice note is put into that channel that I just showed you, then this automation will be triggered. So every single time I drop a new voice note in there, I will then end up getting all these blogs and these Facebook and LinkedIn posts. And then we have another Slack module here, which is essentially just to download the voice note. This is exactly how it's done. We want the URL private download link here, and this will allow you to download the voice note from Slack. Once we have downloaded the voice note, we then want to transcribe it. So this is where we use OpenAI Whisper. So Whisper is OpenAI's transcribing service. It's an AI transcribing service. So then we just map the file name and then the file data. So we want all the data from the downloaded file. The file name can be anything. I'm just going to do file.m4a. And then the model is Whisper1, which is the one that enables us to transcribe it. And the prompt is super simple. Just transcribe this word for word. And of course, we want the response format to be in text, so then we can use it in the automation later. So now that we've converted our audio into text, we can now use the rest of our AI tools, which mostly operate in text, to create our social media posts. As I'm sure you know, the number one basis and foundation for any sort of content is to do some research around the content you're going to be making. And this is where Perplexity AI comes in really useful. So what Perplexity AI is essentially an AI model that has access to the internet. So it can go and search on the internet for whatever topic we've given the voice note about, and then we can feed that into our AI writing models to then go and write us a brilliant post or blog. So after we've gone and transcribed our voice note, we then have to generate the Perplexity AI prompt. The better prompt you give it, the better output you're going to get. So this is what I've got as the prompt, and this has worked pretty well for me. Of course, this is all, you can tweak all of this and change it as in how you would like, but this prompt has worked quite well. So you're tasked with creating a research-based prompt on a transcribed voice note containing a content idea. This research prompt will be used by Perplexity AI, an AI model with internet access. So I'm just explaining to ChatGPT exactly what it needs to generate. I then go and give it the transcribed voice note. I have it follow some steps, such as identify the main topic and key points from the transcribed voice note, because the first thing it needs to do is understand what I'm saying in the voice note to generate this prompt. And we then have it go and generate and do all the research for it. And this is extra parts of the prompt, such as breaking down the research tasks. We, of course, need to include instructions for finding relevant and up-to-date information. Statistics or expert opinions are all, of course, really welcome when we're doing this research. And of course, telling the AI exactly what you want it to do is super important when you're generating a prompt. So craft your research prompt to be clear, comprehensive, and designed to elicit thorough and nuanced research results from Perplexity AI is a great way to make sure that it is prompting it for another AI model and not just, spouting anything else. So now that we've generated a really excellent prompt for Perplexity AI, we can then go and put this prompt directly into Perplexity AI to go and do our research for us. This is how this module is programmed. So we're using the Llama 3.1 Sona Large model, and you need to make sure you use this online one here. This means that you can go and search the internet using the API. And we then have 900 max tokens and temperature as 1. I think those two are fine. And this will then go off and search the internet, go and do all the research we need to generate an excellent blog and social media posts. Now that we have all that data, we now want to start writing the content. And this is where these Claude modules come in really useful. So the first Claude module we have here is to generate the blog. So we're using the model Claude 3.5 Sonnet, and this is the max number of tokens. We of course want the input to be text and the role to be user. And then this is the prompt. So essentially we're giving it all the research, as you can see here, that we got from Perplexity AI. And we then has given it a step-by-step instructions on exactly what we want it to do. So the first thing we want it to do is begin by carefully reading all the research that Perplexity AI has done. Once it's actually gone and analyzed what Perplexity AI has done, we then want it to start writing the blog. So we want to organize the blog by introduction, main body, and then conclusion. And lastly, we don't want our blog to sound like an AI has written it. So I have this last step 3 section here, where we want it to use a conversational, friendly tone that sounds like a knowledgeable human wrote it. And of course, humans don't use the same type of long or short sentence structure. We normally vary it in our writing. So we use that. We want to use an active voice, avoid using AI-related buzzwords, because reading an AI-generated article is not as fun as if it has a bit of character like a human does. So if you wanted to add to this automation, you could also add an extra module off this generator blog page where you could make this blog properly SEO optimized using AI. That's another cool idea you could do to make this automation that much better. So now that we've gone and we've generated our blog, in my opinion, every good blog needs a photo. So this is exactly what we're doing here. The first step is to have AI generate an excellent image prompt. Normally a mantra in making AI automations is the better input you give it, the better output you're going to get with AI models. So that's why I always have a separate module here to go and generate an image prompt or generate a research prompt, because you're just going to get way better results. So this is exactly what the prompt looks like. So we're tasking it to generate a comprehensive prompt for an AI image generation software based on a blog article that we're going to give it, essentially the blog article we wrote with Claude before. So what we want it to do is we want it to have an image description, what sort of style this image needs to be, for example, impressionistic, minimalistic, or vibrant. Then we want it to go and establish what camera type we're going to be using. So we're going to be using a DSLR, a mirrorless camera, a medium format. The more information you give it, the better the image is actually going to be. We want to understand what sort of camera lens we're going to be using to generate this image. And lastly, the post-processing techniques. It knows exactly what we want out of this prompt. I've also gone and added the blog article that we wrote with Claude using this variable here. And I've also gone and given it some examples of exactly what a good output would look like, so it can go and base its output based on those. So now that we have an excellent image prompt, we then just go and generate the image. This is how this module is set up. So we want to use the model DALL-E 3. And we will just put the prompt as the prompt we generated in the previous module in the generate image prompt module. The size we can change. I've just left it as 1024 times 1024, but you can go and change it however you like. The quality is standard right now. You can change it to HD if you like, and style is obviously I've left as vivid, but again, this is still personal preference. So you can go and update this. You can try out a bunch of different settings and see whichever one works best for you. But these are the settings I have right now. And lastly, we want the response format to be an image file, so we can then go and upload it to Google Drive. And this is the module we use to go and upload it to Google Drive. It's simply just an upload a file Google Drive module. And if I go and open it, you can see I'm just selecting a folder here from the list. So the new drive location is just in my personal drive, and then in this content creation folder that I have here. And then the file we're using is the OpenAI ChatGPT generated image from the previous module here. So what this will go and do is get the AI generated image we just made and then upload it to a Google Drive. And that's how this is all set up to do that. We then also want to store the blog we wrote using Claude earlier on somewhere. So I then have this Google Docs module here, which will go and create a new document. How this module is set up is essentially the name of the actual document we're creating. I've just put it as blog test 1. And then the content we have is right here. So this will be the content from the Claude generator blog module we made a while ago. And then where do you want to store the actual Google Doc that we're making with the blog in it, and I've just selected this folder here. Now we've got a new document with the blog in it, and this is what it would look like. So here we have the blog, and it's just been pasted into this new document with the title Blog Test 1. And as you can see here, the whole blog is just stored on our Google Drive within this Google document right here. And lastly, what we need to do is go and generate the LinkedIn and Facebook posts. So we use these two Claude modules here to go and generate both of them. So let's start with LinkedIn. So again, I'm using Claude because it sounds a lot more real and like a human's written it rather than using ChatGPT. That's why I prefer to use Claude here. So this is how I've prompted it. I've got Claude 3.5 Sonnet to go and write our LinkedIn post, and this is how it is prompted. Starts with converting a blog post, which we had Claude write previously, into an optimized LinkedIn post. Your goal is to distill the key points from the blog post into a concise, engaging, and professional format for our LinkedIn profile. And essentially, I've just put the variable from the blog post right into the prompt here. And then I've given the prompt a bunch of instructions here. What I want it to do is read through the blog post and identify the main topics and key points within the actual blog post. And then we want to craft a strong opening statement, as that's the first thing that shows up on LinkedIn. We then want to distill the blog post's main arguments or insights into 3 to 5 bullet points. And we want to conclude with a thought-provoking question or call to action to get more engagement on our LinkedIn posts. And lastly, I've just stipulated that it needs to be under 1,300 characters and that the relevant hashtags just needs to add 2 or 3 relevant hashtags. And now that we've got a LinkedIn post generated, we then need to go to Facebook, and we also need to generate a Facebook post. All the settings are exactly the same as LinkedIn, where we use the model 3.5 for Claude, 1,000 max tokens, role as user, type as text, and the prompt is somewhat similar. So if I show you right here, you are tasked with turning a blog post into an optimized Facebook post. And your goal is to create an engaging, concise post that captures the essence of the blog while adhering to Facebook's best practices. And it's a similar sort of story where we add the blog post as a variable, and then we have it analyze the blog post, identify the main topics, key takeaways, and then we need to go and create the post. So we want the post to be between 40 and 80 words. We of course need to start with a hook or attention grabbing statement, which is super important. We need to focus on the main key ideas, use emojis because Facebook really does love using a few more emojis. And we want to have a call to action, which is Facebook specific, which is like tag a friend. Facebook does not like hashtags, so we normally won't be using hashtags there. So essentially prompting this post to ensure that it creates the best Facebook specific post that it can is the main goal here. So now that we have all the social media posts that we need from blog to Facebook to LinkedIn, now we need to store this all in a lovely little dashboard where we can view everything in one go. And that's exactly where this last module comes in, which is a Google Sheets add a row module. So this is exactly what the Google Sheet looks like. So we have the link to the blog. We have a LinkedIn post that the Claude module generated. We have a Facebook post, which also a Claude module generated. And lastly, the image file URL from where it's stored on our Google Drive. This is exactly how we've set up our Google Sheets add a row module. So if I click on this here, as you can see, the blog link, and we've just put the blog link from the Google Docs module that we had from before, where we stored the blog. We have the LinkedIn post, which is just the text response from the Claude module that generated the LinkedIn post, the text response from the Facebook post, and lastly, the web view link from the image file. This is from the Google Drive uploader file from when we uploaded the AI generated image. So this automation is super powerful because a 30-second voice note, so something that only takes you 30 seconds to do, actually comes out with 3 different forms of content, and I find that super, super valuable. And it's excellent when you're on the go and you just need to go and upload a quick voice note, and then you get content done for you, which is excellent. So if you enjoyed this video, if you could interact with it, it helps out a ton. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.